Welcome back, everybody. So in this tutorial we're going to cover loops, the different types of loops that Java offers us. There's three types of loops that we have in Java. There's the for loop, there's the while loop, and there's the do while loop. So the difference, starting with the for loop, is we have three sections in this signature, the head part right here. There's the instantiation part where you set up your variable and assign it a value. There's the condition check, and then there's the variable update. So what it's going to do is when this first runs, this section, this instantiation, only runs one time at the very beginning. It sets up that value and then it immediately comes over here to the check. So it's saying index is equal to 0. Now, index, is 0 less than 10? Yes, that's true. So it comes in here and it runs this line of code. Anything in this block, these curly braces right here, this and this, anything inside of there is the loop block, and it's going to run that code as long as this condition is true. So it comes in here, it says index equals to, and then it grabs the value of index, which is 0, and it concatenates that into this string. And then after that's done, after the block is finished running, it comes up here and it increases the value of index. This plus plus means I'm going to take the value and I'm going to add 1 to it. So it's 0, now it's 1. The next, so it comes back over here, and again, it doesn't come to here because we only do this once. So it comes back to this condition check. It checks, okay, is 1 less than 10? Yes. Then it comes in here and it does everything inside the block again. This is a very simple example. A lot of for loops have more than one line, but for tutorial sake, we're just keeping it simple. So it runs this again, index equals 1, and then it comes over here and it increases 1 to 2. And we'll see the difference between, you can have, sometimes you'll see for loops where the plus sign is on the right side instead of the left side, and the difference is this will increase and then it will use the variable. But inside a for loop, you really don't, it doesn't matter. This section right here doesn't matter which side you put the plus on. You can put it on the right, you can put it on the left. It's not going to change the functionality at all. So the second type of loop is the while loop. Now most of the time you'll see while loops used with Boolean values. So you'll have a Boolean, it'll be true or false, and then the while loop will run based on the condition of that value. But for, again, tutorial sake, I'm just using an integer for simplicity, and we're basically setting this integer equal to 10. We're saying, hey, while I have dollars in my pocket, I'm going to run this while loop. I'm going to spend $1. So it comes in again, this block, this between these curly braces, and it says I spent $1. Now I have, and you see here that the minus minus, which is the decrement operator, this is the addition operator, this is the decrement, and so subtraction. It's going to subtract that amount before it concatenates it, because if we did it on the right side, what we'd print out is I now have 10, and then it would minus it to 9, then it would run the loop again, and it wouldn't look right. The math would be right, but it wouldn't look right on the screen. So that's why we have the minus minus on the left side, because we want it to do the math. We want it to change the value before it concatenates and puts it into this string. So we'll get into that in later tutorials in a lot more detail, and you'll see that. And then for this last do while loop, the difference between a do while loop and a while loop is that the do while loop, the block, will always run at least one time. This section of code is always going to run no matter what the condition of the check is. So in here we have while, and then we have a check, just like we have a check up here. And as long as this check is true, this is going to run more than once. And where do while loops really kind of come in handy is if you want a certain input from the user, like a menu system, and you're saying, hey, give me a particular value, and I'm going to continue to display this until you give me what I want. And so we'll run this real quick, and I'll show you. I'm going to press F11 to run this, and we'll see right here, this is the for loop output. So we have index 0, then it increments right here, and it comes back and it says index is 1, and then increments again, index is 2, and The output, like I said, the output, if we change the plus over here to the left side and we stop this and we rerun it, it's still going to give us the same output. Index is 0 to 9. The functionality inside a for loop does not change. But if we change this, see, I have $10 to spend. I spend $1, I now have 9. I spend $1, I now have 8. If we change this, it will affect our output because it's now applying the value to the string and then it's going to decrement. So if we stop this and we run it again, we'll see I spend $1, I now have $10. But that's not right because I started with 10. If I spend $1, I should have 9. And so the math is correct. It's just not displaying correctly because we did decrement. We do have $1 less than we had before. It's just not showing up on the screen. So that's kind of where you need to keep in mind the position of where you place these subtraction and addition operators. And then again here on the do while loop, it says I'll loop until you type stop. So if we just hit like H, it's just going to keep going. If I just hit enter and don't type anything, it's just going to keep going. No matter what I type, as long as it's not stop, it's going to keep looping. So in a menu type system, if you say, hey, pick a number between 1 through 3, and they pick 4, it's just going to show them the menu again until they give you what you want. And so if I type stop, we see up here that the red program has come to a stop, and that's kind of really the where do while loops shine in that situation. There are some things here like scanner that we'll get into in much more detail. I had to use it for this tutorial, but don't really worry about that. We'll get more into the scanner and certain conditions like this exclamation mark, which makes a condition the opposite of what it is. So if it's true, it makes it false. If it's false, it makes it true. We'll get into that in future tutorials. But so this is just kind of like the real quick and dirty loop tutorial. One last thing that I want to kind of show you here is in the for loop, you really don't need either of these. And again, to be honest, there are special cases where you would do something like this, where you can do like a Boolean check. If we type true, this is what's called an infinite loop. And you really never want to do this outside of some kind of program loop or game loop where you need certain things to run basically until you hit a kill switch. So like a game loop. The main loop itself is running non-stop until the game ends. And so that's kind of where a semi-infinite loop would want to be. But even the IDE recognizes, hey, you've created an infinite loop. This code right here is unreachable. So the IDE helps you out if you ever type something like this to say, this is not a good idea to do this because it'll never leave this block. There's nothing in this condition that says, hey, we're done doing this, now stop. So I'll kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. You can comment a big section of code out by highlighting it, hitting Control, and then /, and that'll comment the whole section out. And I'm just going to show you what this does. So if we run this, it's just going to continually print out index equals on the screen over and over and over and over and over, and it'll never stop until you manually stop it. So if we hit this red button over here, then it stops. But that's kind of just an idea to give you an idea that even though this for loop has these 3 sections, you don't have to always use every section. You can do an update in the string rather than this update condition. You can have, like I said, multiple variables in the instantiation part, and you can have complex true-false Boolean checks inside this condition check. Again, we'll get more into this in later videos, but I just wanted to give you a quick breakdown of this. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.